It is still too early to tell how American companies did by selling merchandise or advertising during this year's World Cup, but business executives are optimistic. Americans more than ever have tuned in so far to the global competition. So how is this translating into profits? Well, Sam Caucci, CEO of Sales Huddle Group, is here to tell us. Sam, thanks so much for being here. We were just talking before we started here about the popularity of soccer. Yep. This particular World Cup, I've never seen this country so engaged in the sport. But how are companies tapping into that interest?
Right, I mean, you know, it's amazing. Over the last 20 years, it's been the sport of the future, and it's kind of, now it's the future, right? You have more kids than ever playing it. You have more fans than ever going to it. Americans were the #1 tourist group coming to Brazil to see the Cup. They bought more tickets than any other country. You know, and I think that you see a lot of brands starting to tap in. The game against Belgium, the U.S. game against Belgium, was the most watched soccer match on ESPN ever, right? So you see a lot of sponsors starting to tap in, not only to the fact that it's growing in popularity, but it's the type of generation that's tapping into it. Millennials are, you know, when you tap into millennials, they say it's the second most popular professional sport today. And they grew up during a time where soccer was growing and growing, and they were playing at the youth levels, and now they're here.
And it's interesting because, you know, the youth soccer programs have always been pretty big here, but they get to a certain age, these kids, and then they suddenly go off into baseball or basketball or American football, and then onto the college level. I get the sense now that there is the follow-through from very young youth programs all the way through to college and then into the professionals.
Right, yeah, I mean, you're seeing more Division II, Division III. The infrastructure in the U.S. is offering a lot more opportunities for students and student athletes. And you know what else is wild? There's over 400 universities in the U.S., more than anywhere else, that has sports management as a degree. So, you know, at Sales Huddle Group, what we've seen is so many students choosing to not follow the path to the NFL or want to work with the New York Yankees, but saying soccer is a viable career path for them.
What about the growth of the MLS, too, which is very important to the development, because this gives people a chance, not just every 4 years to get into the World Cup, to actually pick their favorite team and be able to go and watch them play on a regular basis.
Right. 11% uptick after the 2010 World Cup in attendance since 2010. They've seen a minor uptick after this World Cup, although it's still kind of too early to see. But they doubled sponsorship between 2010 and 2014 in MLS sports. They're at 19 teams. They're growing to 22 in the next 3 years. And you're starting to see former Premier League players and top-level talent, not just Beckham, come to the U.S. and finish their careers, you know, at the MLS level.
How does the game of football, as I call it, or soccer, fit into the psyche of the American sports fan? Because all too often, having lived in this country now for some 30 years, when I first came here, it was boring. 0-0, they wanted more goals. It just didn't fit with what people were used to. Has that changed too, do you think?
I think the 2010 World Cup really began to make it a community event. You know, big cities are able to run. I think you've seen more follow-through by local cities creating a community event of it. Right? You put it on TV, and you get the local bars and restaurants engaged, and fans are going to come out and watch. You know, where MLS is nervous is that going to follow through after the World Cup? Is this just a 30-day, party, so to speak?
It's a big question, isn't it? There was an article in an op-ed written by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar who said, soccer will never be in America what people think it will be. I think there are people, a lot out there, not just soccer fans, who probably disagree with him.
I think we don't know. This millennial generation, which we hear on so many different levels across, you know, business and in so many different spaces, has engaged soccer. And they have engaged it as a sport. They've played it, second most participated in sport today, and they are choosing to watch it and engage with it more than ever. So,
but, you know, I think of baseball, American football, NHL. The games are a lot longer. There's more opportunities for TV timeouts and all of those sponsorship opportunities. Football is 45 minutes, 15-minute halftime, 45 minutes. It's all done. Does that work for the sport, or does that hurt the sport from a business point of view?
I think it's a huge advantage. I think one of the problems with Major League Baseball today that they're seeing is their games are too long. Right? And you see a lot of Major League Baseball teams today trying to plan into their business model to find ways to shorten the game, to keep fans engaged. I think it's a huge asset if they engage it the right way.
It's fascinating to follow. Sam Caucci, thank you.